Okay, as our adventure continues, look what we have come upon. We've traveled a couple of miles, and look at this huge, big stone. It almost looks like a castle standing out here alone, Don. This is amazing.
Yes, it's an incredible house. It was the home of John Marsh, and John was an early-day California pioneer.
When was this built?
This was built, started in 1852, and he completed it in 1856. So
now, wait a minute. There was nothing out here then. There's not much out here now, but there was nothing out here then.
You're absolutely correct. There was nothing here, and you could imagine the construction of that house and to haul the materials. And then just think you, as an early-day pioneer moving out here, coming across the landscape, seeing nothing, and coming over the hill, and here you are for maybe a wayward stop.
Now, I don't think most of us quite understand or have ever done much thinking about where state parks come from, where the original idea to make something a park comes from. That's the reason this whole thing started, isn't it?
That's absolutely correct. And what it is it has such significance for the state of California. And this was the first purchase. It was one of 13 acres. And then a short time thereafter, in 2002, we acquired the other 3,500 acres.
So initially, you just got the house and the 13 acres, and what were you going to do with it? Or did you even know for sure?
Well, our plan was, at the time, was to interpret the history of John Marsh, because he was such a significant character on the early day California, and the reason why so many people moved out west was because of him. Now we've expanded, and the story, it's like a book. We keep reading more of the pages and we find more of the story, and this is just one part of the story.
Because from that initial 13 acres and that initial purchase of that home, you have expanded to 3,500 acres. And you've gone way back in time. And Brett, come on over here, because we've kind of gotten ahead of ourselves when we talk about John Marsh in the 1850s. There was a lot going on here as far as human history was concerned a long time before that.
You're absolutely right, Hugh. 1850s was just yesterday. We know people were here a long time before the 1850s.
How long?
At least 7,000 to 9,000 years. At least 7,000 to 9,000 years.
You're kidding. And how do we know that?
Well, the archaeological work that's been done over about the last 50 years here, but especially in the last 4 or 5 years, has pushed that time further and further into the past.
And what have you found? How do we know for sure? Are we finding remnants of those early societies?
Absolutely. Going all the way back to John Marsh's time, Marsh wrote that when he built this house that we're looking at here, he found burials as they were creating the foundations. So even as early as John Marsh's time, we knew that this was a large archaeological site. In recent years, though, we pushed the boundaries further out geographically and further back temporally to, like I say, at least 7,000 to 9,000 years. I have no doubt that archaeologists working here 10 or 20 years from now will be telling you 11 or 12,000 years. We'll keep pushing it further back.
So this makes this area right here, this 3,500 acres in this state park, one of the richest archaeological areas anywhere in California.
Without a doubt. Definitely one of the most significant archaeological landscapes in the state park system and the state of California.
Was it kind of a surprise to you when you started finding all of this?
It was to me. I mean, it's an area that you would expect to have a lot of archaeology, but I don't think anyone expected what we know is here now.
So how do you preserve this? How do you make this a part of the experience that we will have when we come here in the future to visit this park?
The great thing about our state park system is that we have people on the staff from all types of fields: interpreters, engineers, maintenance professionals, managers, archaeologists, and working as teams, we create general plans that will work, that'll tell us how to manage the park, and then we have staff that can do that so that we can balance all those different things that we have to balance of getting the public in, protecting the resources, and telling the story. And telling the story here will be exciting.
So, Don, this is all going to be this big kind of an ongoing story to tell about the ancient inhabitants of this land thousands of years ago, the Marsh story, the John Marsh story, and then the natural story, the beautiful story of people being able to come here to camp and hike and horseback ride and bike and do all the things that people do in beautiful places like this.
Right. We've just touched on the cultural and archaeological history. We have a whole resource history in endangered species of plants and animals that use this area as home. We haven't even touched on that yet.
Yeah.
And that'll be just one of the stories that people can see and experience when they come out here and visit this park.
And one of the other stories that people can see, kind of an unexpected one, look right over here. The camera can see it right up on the top of the hill here. When you first purchased this land, there was nothing around here. Now, that is you tell me, going to be a 1,500 home development built right on top of the hill. So now this park takes on added significance because it's going to be this wonderful oasis, this wonderful place for people to come and see yesterday's California in the midst of all of this development that's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. In the development, you're going to have new neighbors, new folks living there and occupying the same site that was occupied 9,000 years before. And now they'll be able to experience what took place, hundreds and thousands of years right across it. So
isn't it interesting how it all makes a complete circle?
This is just a really nice spot to live on, and it was nice 9,000 years ago. It'll be nice 9 years from now, 900 years from now.
Yeah.
And we're just going to keep adding to that archaeological story.
Well, it's a great place to see it today. We don't know for sure how long it's going to be before this park opens up. Right now, you're doing some work on the house just to stabilize it, right?
Yeah, we're doing quite a bit of work. We were fortunate to get a number of grants. We also have a number of interest groups that have fundraised for us and got grants on their own, and we're pooling our resources in order to stabilize the building. And eventually, as the economy turns around, our goal is to completely restore it and turn it into a visitor center, put displays inside, in which we help to tell the story.
So this has been the before to an after that we're not sure when it's going to open up as a park or even what the name of the park is going to be. But to be here and know that this has been saved for future generations of Californians to enjoy. It's fun. In a way, it's fun to be here kind of before anyone else knows about it and opens up as a park.
Right, because there's a lot of steps that have to take place and a lot of planning that has to take place. The future is extremely bright for this park, and that's one of the exciting things, to be here in the ground floor and you're seeing it in the ground floor. When you come back 10, 15 years from now, it could be a whole different look to it, where we're standing here and the birds are chirping in the background. We may have busloads of kids, and that's the ideal, is that we bring the school kids out, we educate them on their past.
Yeah. Well, let's take one more look at it here. Here's the old stone house, the home of John Marsh, an early California pioneer built back in the 1850s. It's the centerpiece of what will one day be open to the public for all of us to enjoy. This wonderful park, this California State Park, this California Golden Park. Just wait a few more years, and they'll be here ready for all of us to enjoy.